Hey, it's the publisher here, Mr. Kelly Cole. Listen, if you are a former professional athlete, if you are a former college athlete or sports coach, and you're looking to launch your speaking career, let me tell you, you need a book. If you're already out there speaking and you want to track more high paid speaking engagements, you need a book. It's not about creating more content to post on social media. It's not about recording a bunch of videos. It's not about doing more podcasts. The number one secret to attracting more high paid speaking engagements or even launching your speaking career is a book. Hey, I'm the publisher, Mr. Kelly Cole, and I help former athletes and sports coaches create best-selling books in 30 days to launch their speaking career, even if they hate writing and don't know where to start. So for the first time ever, I've created a free case study video that will not only show you how to write a book from scratch in as little as 30 days and become a best-selling author, it will also show you how to attract more high-paid speaking engagements. Now, to check out this free case study video, click the link that says learn more or go to booksforathletes.com. Real quick before you go, do not go if you're not a former athlete or sports coach, because you won't find any value in what I'm about to share. And don't go if your book is already out and already on Amazon. You won't find any value in what I share over there. But if you are a former athlete or sports coach, know that you need a book, or already out there speaking and you want to launch your speaking career, go check out that link now. Writing a book is not as hard as you think. It doesn't even matter if you don't know where to start. My case study video will show you how to start and get it done and onto the bestsellers list. So go now.
Welcome to the Books for Athletes podcast with your host, the publisher, Mr. Kelly Cole. Mr. Cole, a former athlete and best-selling author himself, has set out to take you behind the scenes of some of sports' forgotten heroes. He sits down with former professional athletes, college athletes, and sports coaches as they share stories of triumph, defeat, dedication, and perseverance. Here's Kelly.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Books for Athletes podcast. And today I got a special guest. When I say a special guest, I know I say that all the time, but this is family. Like, we go way back. You knew me since I was a baby. What's up? I got my man, superstar, legend, William Gates. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm blessed, man. Thanks for having me on the show. This is man, this is a special moment right now, man. A special time. You can almost say this one of them full circle kind of situations, man. You said it earlier. You know, your family and my family, man. We grew up together. I mean, and who would have thought? When God was birthing back then, we would see it all these years later.
Man.
To bring it back together, man, for this particular situation, man. Man, what a blessing.
Only he knows, man. Only he can orchestrate that, man. Like I said, I've said many times, man, I used to watch Hoop Dreams every day before school. Like, literally, I'm not exaggerating. Like, while I'm getting dressed, I'm watching Hoop Dreams. And, man, like you said, it's just a full circle moment, man. It's an honor. It's a pleasure, man. Like, you're a legend. Let's start there. Like, how does it feel to be such an inspiration to so many young men like myself? Like, how does that feel?
You know, it's interesting. I never viewed it that way. And see, and I know we'll talk a little bit about it later about the book and things of that nature, but to be honest with you, man, when I see Hoop Dreams, I don't see it like a lot of other people see it. Because you got to remember, it's my life.
Right.
So people see inspiration, people find, their space in it. But for me, as crazy as this may sound, I've only seen the movie 5 times in my entire life. And the reason being so is because I watched it with my family. And then as my boys got older, I watched it with them individually. And then I went on this HBCU tour with the Harlem Globetrotters, and they forced me to sit down and watch it with them. But as crazy as this sounds, what I'm getting ready to say, man, I've always looked or avoided the movie, the limelight of it, because I looked at Hoop Dreams, for me personally, as failure. And the reason I say that is because I didn't get the ultimate dream. So I didn't want to go around talking about my failure. Like in my mind, I'm like, I don't want to celebrate that. I don't want to be a part of that. Even though other people's like, man, your story's been amazing. It's been inspirational, man. Man, you just don't understand. I saw you and AG, y'all were grinding out there. Y'all was putting it together. But in my back of my mind, I'm thinking like, yeah, man, but we didn't make it.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. I get that, man. Definitely. So let me go back. How did it even come about? So how did they approach y'all? Why did they choose you and Arthur? Like, how did the documentary even come about?
So crazy that you asked that question. Um, for as many people that did not like Coach Pingatore in the movie, he is the sole reason why I'm even in it. Because I was already going to St. Joe's. When Arthur Agee, at the beginning of the movie, he's playing Isaiah Thomas, I'm at the camp already.
Wow.
They just couldn't film me, but I'm already there. I've been in the camp for the last 2 weeks.
Wow.
So he shows up that first day, and that just happened to be the day that Isaiah comes in and was talking to the campers. And they introduced themselves to Coach Ping and say, hey, man, we following this kid around. He wants to potentially come to the school. And Ping turns around and said, well, guess what? I got a kid that's coming in from the inner cities of Chicago, Cabrini Green. You might want to talk to him too.
Wow.
So they introduced themselves to me, and before I knew it, man, they was at my house talking to my mom, talking to Curtis, and next thing I know, I was a part of Hoop Dreams, and it went from there.
Wow, that's awesome. Like I love the backstory, stuff like that. Yeah, like you said, most people didn't like him, but I don't know if you know this, but I know that type of coach. I went to Weber. You familiar with Weber?
Oh, we used to play y'all. Absolutely.
So I'm familiar with that style of coaching. He wasn't a back. They was just hard nosed, old school guys.
Yep.
They had their rules, they had their and they stuck by them. Which as men we can respect now, but watching the movie as a kid is like, no, nobody liked him.
Absolutely. I mean, it's hard for anybody to appreciate the struggle when you're going through it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who wants to appreciate the pain, the misunderstanding? Like even from a basketball perspective, I know a lot of guys say that, man, I love the conditioning. Well, I would never say that. I didn't like all that conditioning. I'm looking like, man, you out here running, and coach like, nope, you didn't make it. It's like, we didn't make the time. In your mind, you beat the time. But as you get older, you recognize the discipline it put in you. Yeah. You recognize, man, the structure that it gave you. Like every time I go out and speak, I always, particularly when I'm talking to high school kids or even college kids, I tell them, man, one of the greatest lessons that Coach Pingatore taught me was, I remember when I was walking down the hallway at St. Joe's, and there was a piece of paper on the ground, and I stepped over it. And Ping saw me do it. Now, there's a bunch of us out there, but he saw that I stepped over it. So he calls me over and he says, Will, why didn't you pick that piece of paper up? I was like, Coach, I ain't throw that down there. He's like, yeah, but is this not your school? I was like, yeah. He said, well, then if this is your school, then you take care of your house. He said, man, that's trash on your floor. You don't step over it. You pick it up and you throw it in the garbage. And that lesson taught me, man, that you know what? The things that I'm invested in, regardless, if somebody else put it that way, if I see it, I need to address it. So, man, one of the greatest life lessons I ever received from Coach Pingatore.
Those types of things, man. What was I know like at the end you said it was hard for you to watch because you didn't actually make the dream. What was like one of the other toughest things about being in the movie or being a part of the documentary, them filming it and stuff like that?
I think when you get to like the messier parts of the movie where you get emotional, where that vulnerability aspect shows up really strong. Like, man, there were times in the movie when, my mom wasn't working, so resources wasn't coming into the house, but, you can't say, oh, y'all got to stop filming.
Yeah.
They're still filming. Or, for example, when Curtis, like it isn't working. And you see he's going through this bout of just trying to rediscover and find himself. And really, I would even say he was depressed
Yeah.
because, he had been this great superstar. So those were tough times. And that's why, I always tell people, the movie was it was our life. It wasn't a Hollywood story. We were living that thing.
Yeah.
So, but we committed to the project. We wanted it to be authentic. We didn't know where it was going to go.
Right.
Once we made that commitment to it, man, and I'm grateful of my mother for this. See it through, and that's what we did. But I'm gonna tell you this though, Kelly. My mother though, she was slick though. She was telling us to see it through, but my mother was like, "No, I ain't gonna be in that thing like that. Y'all can go ahead and do that. I'm gonna let y'all see it through." But my mother, you notice my mother was only in it very sparingly because she was being mom. She was sitting back, watching everything, observing everything. But my mother was like, "I refuse
Yeah.
to be a part of that."
That's funny. Speaking of Curtis, like he played such an instrumental part in the movie, and he was I think he was everybody's big brother.
Absolutely.
He gave you some real stuff. He was like, yo, he was out there. As far as I'm concerned, wasn't nothing wrong with him. And
You
that's
know,
that mentality. Talk about that.
it's. I think sometimes what people forget is the era when people were growing up. Like even because now I'm a minister, I preach the word of God.
Yeah.
I'm always helping young people. Like you get mad at your parents, you get mad at your dad, you get mad at your mom, your grandparents, but you don't understand the era
Yeah.
that they grew up in where they had to navigate so much craziness. Like I never excuse the fact that stuff wasn't done right at home, but I understand when things didn't always work out. I'm looking like, man, my mom, coming from Mississippi,
Yep.
growing up in Jim Crow laws and all this other stuff, I can't imagine how she navigated that. I can't imagine how my father navigated that. And so the last thing I'm trying to do is sit there and go like, you didn't do this and you didn't do that.
Yep.
So what I try to explain to people, this was Curtis too.
Yep.
He was navigating life the way he grew up in it.
Yep.
And what he saw was the mistakes that he made in life and with the game. And he said, guess what? I'm going to give my little brother, I'm going to get him to do the opposite of what I did.
Yep.
Maybe I need to be a little tougher on him in this capacity. Because one of the things that I think also happens too, Kelly, is people forget, man, we grew up in Cabrini Green.
Cabrini
It
Green.
wasn't like Cabrini Green was, we can go out and there was, playgrounds here and you could skip over here. You went out and you literally walked into some level or some form of adversity
Yep.
every day. I laugh about it, but I remember there were times at Cabrini Green, man, when there were fights going on, they were family fights.
Yeah.
It was the Jones against the Smiths. It's like people don't recognize, man, Cabrini was like a city within itself. I used to tell people, man, y'all talk about Cabrini like, it's an entire city, like Cabrini Green, Illinois. Like that's how it was to people. And so when it came down to Curtis, man, his mentorship, his leadership, his love, he always wanted to produce the best out of me. But I also tell people about Curtis too, man. Curtis will give you the shirt off his back.
Yeah.
He was the most humblest, gentle. I mean, you talk about a gentle giant. I mean, I only saw, I never saw what other people saw in him because I knew another side of him.
Yeah.
So I never like even with my boys, when I was training them in basketball, and I would let them know, hey, guess what? I love you. It's gonna be hard on you, but I love you.
Yeah.
And what I tell you and what we go through, it's going to be considered minor to what the world is going to throw at you.
Yeah.
So it's my job, as best as I can, to prepare you for, what's to come. Even like right now, my son, he wants to get back in shape. So I've been working him out at the gym. and he's reading the book, and he was like, "Man, Dad, that's so much going. I didn't know." And I said, "Well, son, one of the reasons you didn't know so much because I didn't want you to ever think that even though you and I we share the same name, that you felt like that you had to be Hoop Dreams. I
Right.
never wanted to throw that on you, but what I wanted to give you was because I knew people were going to throw it on you. It was my job to prepare you for the mental toughness aspect of it.
Yeah.
So when they show up, I said, son, you're gonna walk in the gym.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody say that's Will Gates' son for Hoop Dreams,
Yep.
the team is gonna be like, oh, let's go get him.
Yep.
Let's go get him. I said, son, that comes with the territory.
Yep.
That's it just is. I told my son, you know how your dad is. We call it the other side of the blessing. The blessing is you do got hoop dreams. That's you got instant walking into it,
Yep.
set up for you. The other side is folks gonna come to knock you down.
Yep.
And you need to be ready for that.
Yeah, man. That's some good stuff. Like you said, like even raising my son, we talked to Aaron a little bit. It's like you said, they don't understand coming from that concrete jungle, like being born in Cabrini. Like I said, I was raised on the west side, but we would always go back to Cabrini because our family lived there, man.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I remember when, Tara's prom, they shot up the bus.
Yep.
Like, just imagine being a young kid, you seeing a school bus being shot up, and we're watching. I'm like, this can't be life. It was a war zone over there, man.
And you know what's so crazy about that too is, man, I think we grew up in it. It became almost like the norm.
Yep.
So I know we were affected by it,
Hmm.
but we had learned to navigate through it. I
Yeah.
mean, it's it was crazy. It was crazy, man. But here's the other aspect of it. Because it's all I've ever known,
Yeah.
I don't and after experiencing other things in life, I would never take that away though.
Right.
Because I know the hood, man. It made me who I am, the ins and out. And I tell people all the time, man, we lost a lot of people in the hood.
Yeah.
Lot of hurt, man, a lot of just, you know, death on top of death. But one thing I'll always say about Cabrini, man, we knew everybody.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't a block I can go on and I didn't know 8 or 9 families on
Yeah.
that block. Wasn't a project I couldn't go into
Yeah.
because I felt like, man, I can't go into this project because you knew tons of families. I mean, it's this crazy mix of
Yeah.
friends and enemies. You know what I mean? It's
I
like
know exactly what you mean.
it's like you got this bowl, man, of a good soup for
Yeah.
folks throwing in there. You know, you got your oregano, you got all this other stuff. Then sometimes people throw some dill weed. You know, you're like, I don't want no dill weed in
Yeah.
my soup. But you got to take the whole mix because it was where we lived and it was where we grew up and it is where we got. You said it earlier. You called it the concrete jungle. I call it we got those concrete life lessons.
Hey, what's going on, man? It's Dennis Haley. I am the author of the playbook, The Art of Dreaming. Just want to say a special thank you to Kelly Cole and the Publishing Advantage Group team. Man, they were with me from day one until the time I finished and still with me to this day. What a blessing to have them be with me and to walk me through this journey and to be a part of this journey. They have been nothing but class acts and they know what they're talking about. And just again, it is a blessing to be a part of this team and for them to guide me down the path to success. So thank you for everything that you have done. I look forward to many more projects with you guys and continue to be a blessing to many. Thank you.
Yeah.
That helped us, like for example, like I tell people when I got to St. Joe's, people ask me, how did I know I was ready? Well, to be honest with you, Kelly, playing the guys in my neighborhood,
Hmm.
I thought they were the best basketball players in the world.
Yeah.
So when I got out to St. John's, I'm watching them and I'm going like, well, y'all ain't better than the guys
Yeah.
in my neighborhood. So I knew
Yeah.
when I got out there that I could play and compete. Because I said, yeah, see, I'm thinking like, you ain't seen the guy that just get off the bus, just get home from work. He got on his work boots,
Yep.
come out on Chicago Avenue and
Yep.
drop 25
Right.
in a
Right.
game. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that's basketball at its best.
Not even go home. He
Not
comes
even
straight
go
to the
home.
court. No, they don't know about that, man.
All
But like
about
you
that.
said, it made us who we are. One of my proudest moments with my son is like one of the things, I learned, man, you don't make excuses, you make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And
there
he
was
making
one
it happen
time
too, man.
he makes it happen. And there was one time we were on tour and his keyboard player had to go back to Jacksonville. We were in Atlanta. He was like, bro, I got to leave. I ain't going to be able to play for you. He was like, when you got to be back? And he said, I got to be back in the morning to play for church. And Aaron's like, okay, stay for the show. I'll drive you overnight back. And the dude looked at me. He was like, you okay with that? And I was like, yeah, I taught him how to make it happen. Like, he needs you to play. He's willing to drive you back. What's the problem?
Right, right,
It was a
right.
proud moment for me because it's like, yo, I really taught this kid how to make it happen. Like we couldn't make excuses, Will. We had to make it home. It wasn't no, hey, I'm afraid to go here, I'm afraid to go there. No, you had to get home.
Absolutely.
So
And add on top of that too, man, the reason I think we understood that because we was given responsibility at such a young age, man.
yep,
Like I remember being in first grade, we called it latchkey kid.
yep,
Mom
yep,
tied a key around your neck and you tuck it in your shirt, man, and you go to school and you got to get home. And you got home, you was the only one in the house. So,
yep,
you unlock. So we understood that and I'm grateful of that because it's just like you said, you put that in Aaron. I put that in my kids because we gave them a different kind of lifestyle, but the lessons,
the lessons.
they remain the same. See,
Yep,
Aaron ain't he he's not going to drive that kid unless if you don't give him that lesson.
yep.
That never even happens.
Never
He
happened.
would he probably would have been looking at you, Dad, what we gonna do?
Yep. He didn't even ask me. He didn't even blink. He's like, all right, I'll just drive you. And I
Right,
looked at the dude, he was like, you okay? I was like, yeah, what's the problem?
right,
Like,
right.
it's showtime. What's the problem? You gonna do what you got to
Absolutely.
do. You gonna do what you gotta do. But yeah, man, that's some powerful stuff. So where were you when the movie came out? So where were you in life when the movie came out?
Believe it or not, man, we didn't know that Hoop Dreams was going to become what it was. The film directors and the producers, they submitted it to what was called the Sundance Film Festival. They do it every year up in Canada, and Hoop Dreams won what was called the Audience Award.
Wow.
And from there, it got a distribution deal through New Line Cinema. They had a documentary department called Fine Line. And what went from there was it was in the Fine Line department, but it had become so big, New Line took it over. So believe it or not, the first time I didn't see the movie, but I saw the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in the theater watching, how they play all the previews before. I'm watching Above the Rim. That's getting ready to come on.
That's when I saw it.
Right. So out of the blue, here's a Hoop Dreams trailer. And all I see is me going up for this dunk. And I'm like, whoa, what? That's me. So I'm sitting like, oh, this is real. Because we didn't know that they had made trailers for it and stuff like
Wow.
that. So from there, man, we had got an invitation for the opening in New York. Took us out, man, to this big theater. It's over 2,500 people there. Both of our families went. Nobody knew we were there. After the movie, man, people clapping, going crazy. And they throw this big spotlight on my family and AG's family, man, and people just go ballistic.
Wow.
I mean, you couldn't write it any better than that. So that was the first time I saw it, man, and I was just saying, wow, this is just insane. Because you got to think about it. It's your life.
Yeah.
How many people think that your life is going to have, like, I believe we all got a story to tell
Yeah.
And but when you're going through it,
Yeah.
you don't feel like you got a story to tell.
Right.
You all you feel is, you have moments of ups, you got moments of down, you're trying to figure it out, you're trying to rewrite what you wrote wrong.
Yeah.
To me sometimes life is like, you know, the paper that the teacher grades.
Yep.
You give it to her and she give you all these marks on it, and you
Yep.
gotta go back and redo that thing.
That's
So
it. That is real good. So were you still in college when it came out, or had you
no,
graduated, or what?
no, it was both of our senior years. Interesting enough, man. This is before the NIL deals, which y'all know, man. I'm so mad about that now. I wish they were doing NIL back in the day. But when the movie came out, the NCAA was like, they took our scholarships away
Wow.
because they was like, this is a paid for, a movie venture. And so we had to get lawyers. The schools got lawyers for us. And eventually, what happened was, it was some paperwork that we had signed that said that we came on. This was going to be a PBS documentary, because it was, because the original thing was never titled Hoop Dreams. It was actually titled Higher Goal.
Mm.
And the purpose of it was to show how kids go from street ball to organized basketball. And it was supposed to have been a 2-week filming. But after 2 weeks, they said, man, we think we got something more here. And so they asked both of our families, could we continue filming? And of course, that was, 4 years later,
Yeah.
Hoop Dreams was born. But yeah, after the NCAA took our scholarship away, we got the lawyers involved. They came back and said, since it was initially for PBS and we had no control over it turning into what it did, they gave us our scholarships back, but it was our senior year. But here's the thing, they controlled our involvement in it.
Mm.
So we could only do so many things. We always had to have a representative with us. I mean, man, it was kind of like, it was great, but I felt policed.
Gotcha.
You couldn't go here, you couldn't go there, or you can only do so many in a week. And the truth was, every place I went, and I'm sure it was the same for AG, to people, it seemed like it was a continuation of the movie.
Yeah.
So people who were not even interested in basketball was just showing up to our games because they wanted to talk to me after the game.
Wow.
So, but the school was like, no, and I get it. We had just gotten a brand new coach. He was trying to find himself, and Hoop Dreams kind of overshadowed his first year at Marquette.
Yeah.
And so I got it on one end, but at the same time, man, I'm 19. We wanted it too.
Right.
We wanted all that it was supposed to come with, but we didn't get an opportunity to tap into it like that until after the school year was over.
No. So what happened after the school year was over and all of that? What did you and AG start doing after that?
What's interesting, AG and I together, we've never done anything together until the podcast.
Really?
Yes, he did his thing and I was doing my thing. So like the first couple of years, man, I was out on the circuit, I was speaking, um, uh, anything I was doing basketball camps, all those kind of things, man. I was just trying to generate resources and keep it going. But at the same time, too, I had kids.
Yeah.
So even though I was out there doing these different things, I said, you know what, man, I need a real job. I'm like, I need insurance. I got kids that need to go see the doctor. So I ended up settling back in Chicago, and I started working for this organization called Oak Park Township. And what they had was they had a youth department. And so I worked with the school district to help the kids and the police and the community people have an understanding of how they can collaborate together. So that was one of the aspects of my job. But it was also trying to be an interventionist so that the kids, if they have some issues, let's meet it before it grows into something crazy.
Okay.
So I did that for about 2-3 years as I was still traveling and speaking. And but I want to say this, Kelly, probably about the fourth year of Hoop Dreams, I walked away from it.
Mm.
And again, I did it because as I was out there speaking and looking at these young people, I was thinking to myself like, man, what have I really accomplished?
Mm.
And so I needed to go on that journey and find me and discover me, and because I didn't know how far this Hoop Dreams component was going to go. Because again, because we didn't make it, you know, we didn't own the brand of it. I mean, the movie people owned the brand of it.
Yeah.
How far could we take it? So I I went on this journey. I just said, you know what? Let me just back away from it. Let me take care of my kids. Let me take care of my wife.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be regular Will Gates, and that's what happened.
Wow. Well, good stuff. Let's jump into Hoop Dreams fifth quarter, man. The new book
Woo!
out right now, man.
Got it.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about that. So, where did you pick up at in the book? I know you gave a little bit of backstory. Let's not give them the whole book. Let's start from here. Let's start from the comeback when you decided to make your comeback. Tell them about that story. You told me a little bit about it.
You know the I guess I would have to start it from here. Where here's the thing: when you're an athlete, you're in sports.
Mm-hmm.
That your flame never dies out. It just
Never.
doesn't burn out. It can't. You know, every year, man, especially when it's conditioning time and it hits October, my body would just rev up. And I'm like, okay, why am I feeling this way? What's going on? That energy flows back. And I used to go down to the gym in Chicago called Moody Bible Institute, man. They had an incredible NBA courts in there. And me and my wife, for whatever reason, she was there that day. And she just watching me play. Then she see me working out by myself. And she calls me over and she said, have you thought about playing again? I was like, God, I'm 29. Ain't nobody looking for a 29-year-old. When you're 29, you should already be playing, not
Right.
trying to play again. She said, no, there's something on you that she's like, you need to pray about it and ask God, is this what he's having for you?
Yeah.
So man, I pray about it. And now here's the crazy thing, Kelly. At this point, I'm 29. I'm not in any kind of basketball shape. Matter of fact, I think at that point I probably weighed about 260 pounds. I mean, I'm a husky dude. And I'm going to go see my pastor's daughter play.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm driving down the street and I just started praying. I said, Lord, heard what my wife said. If you really want me to do this, said I need a trainer, and the guy that I used to train with, I don't know his phone number. I said, God, and look at me putting God to the test, right? I'm like, God, if you want me to do this, I need that guy's phone number. Kels, do you know instantly that dude's phone number popped in my head? Instantly. Since God had gave it to me that fast, I called that dude right away. He didn't even pick it up. I left him a voicemail, said, hey man, this is Will Gates. I think I want to do this again. That's all I said. I think I want to do this again. That joker called me back laughing. He was like, man, you're too old to be talking about you going to try to do this professionally. I said, man, I'm serious. I wanna try to do this. Now, this was like on a Thursday, and I told him, I said, I'm going, it's like November. I said, I'm going out of town. I said, I got to go to New York for a CCDA conference. And I said, is there anything I can do while I'm out there? He said, well, Will, if you're really serious, yes. He said, just try to do 25 push-ups straight. He said, just do that every night. Man, I'm like, straight? Oh, couldn't even get 25 straight, man. It was something awful. He said, but when you get back on Monday, call me and let's set up a schedule. I said, better yet, because I was so serious about it. I said, well, I said, if you can, meet me at Moody at 10 o'clock on Monday. We can get started and set the schedule up after that. He meets me there, man. I'm telling you, I'm out of shape. And we just, we do some light jog, just little things. We get back in the gym. We just start shooting. And I'm a big believer in this, man, the compound effect. If you keep doing things over and over, eventually it'll add on and you'll grow for it. So this is like the middle of November. About time January hits, I go from 260 pounds to legitimately 195 pounds, man.
Wow.
I mean, this joker, man, had me in shape. We swimming, running, hooping. And as a matter of fact, at this time, because Moody was really showing me a lot of love, they was letting me use the gym. So I was hosting like these summer league games at the gym. So like Scottie Pippen is playing. Like we got like all these guys who played college ball coming back in. Like Moody was like the place to be this summer. And I was just sitting there like, overwhelmed. Like, man, God, you could do this for me? Like these guys are showing up. And so we hooping and I'm getting back in it. And then as we go through that, I remember asking God, I said, Lord, I need better competition. Because, it's getting late into the season. Summer's almost over. And next thing I know, I get a call from Tim Grover. This is Michael's trainer.
Yo, what up? It's your girl JC, and listen, I have to send a special shout out to my guy, Mr. Kelly Cole, and the entire team at Publishing Advantage Group and Books for Athletes. They took so great care of me to the point that I know I'm the pickiest person. This book was supposed to have been finished last summer. However, there were some details that I needed to make sure that the book had because my audience needed it. And, when it comes down to feeding and serving the people, especially as a former athlete and telling your story, you cannot be selfish with the material and give it away. And they worked with me from the time of my thought process to the time of conception, all the way down to now, top 20 hot release best-selling author on Amazon in 24 hours. Listen, if you're an athlete, you have a story to tell, and you don't know how to put it in book form just yet, don't worry, you're not alone, okay? Hit my guy, Mr. Kelly Cole, and tell him what you're trying to do, and I promise you he gonna get you right, all right? And of course, check me out on Amazon after the season. Shout out to the Books for Athletes family.
He's like, Will, I heard that you're trying to make a comeback. I got your number. Listen, won't you come on over, man, to my gym? I said, I got a gym called, his gym was called Hoops the Gym. What a great name, right?
Wow.
Hoops the Gym. So I go over there, man, and I walk in. First thing I see is the 1990-91 Bulls championship team. I'm looking like, man, this whole hoop squad is here. And we just hooping, playing. Now, at this point, I'm not talking to Michael, but this is at the time when he's getting ready to make his comeback with the Wizards. So I'm not talking with him. Mike is Mike. Mike gonna be Mike. Nobody really kind of knew. There have been rumors, but nobody had knew. So we're doing this like every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on clockwork. But for me, I'm doing more than that. Like when I tell you I was so committed to getting back to being where I was at, I'm doing 6 to 7 hours a day in the gym. Like I'm working out in the morning. I'm lifting in the morning. I'm swimming. I'm running. I'm hooping, and I'm doing all this before noon.
Wow.
Then at noon, I'm playing. I still got my games going. My games will go to 2 o'clock. At 2 o'clock, I'm leaving those games. Then I'm going to Jordan and Tim Grover's games, playing over there at 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. And this was like my everyday.
Wow.
So then we're just playing. And like, man, I will admit, not trying to brag and nothing like that, but I found it, Kelly. I found it. And man, did I find it. I mean, I'm lighting guys up, strong, getting to the cup. That mojo that I lost, God gave it back to me, to the point where Jordan just starts talking. Will, what are you trying to do? I'm like, man, I want to play. He's like, well, listen, I'm going to give you a tryout with my team. And I'm like, oh, okay. Now in my mind, I'm like, that's what I want anyway. That's why I'm in there hoping that this could happen. But you don't want to be the guy that like, hey, Mike, can I get a tryout for your team? Those kind of things, man, they need to lead the charge on that.
Right.
So so the day he told me that, the next day he does a interview and announces to the world that he's coming back. He's in DC. He makes this announcement, and we're like, man, we were just hooping last night. You ain't say none of this to nobody.
Right.
Then he flies back that same day, and we hooping again.
Wow.
After this big announcement, makes the announcement at 10, and at 3:00, Mike in the gym with us hooping.
Wow.
And next thing I know is, man, I'm part of this little cluster. I'm getting the invites. No longer am I getting to be invited. I am invited. So I just show up to the gym. Doors are locked. I go in. And next thing I know, Mike is having these, it was about 10 of us. No, 6 of us. He's just having conversations saying, hey, I'm going to give you guys a shot. Now, here's the crazy thing. Going well, doing well, loving it, feeling good. Matter of fact, in my mind, I kid you not, Kelly, in my mind, when people say you need to see it and you need to visualize it, I had commercials running in my head. I had gym shoes running through my head. I said to myself, man, I don't even need the big $100 million contract. I was like, man, give me a 2-year, $10 million. I'm good to go.
Right.
Because I'm thinking I'm on the verge of doing something that I've always wanted to do. I said, man, at age 29, I said, man, I'm going to have the ultimate hoop dream. The day before we get ready to go to be with the team, I fractured my foot. Now, I did not listen to my trainer because my trainer said, I said, man, I want to work out. He's like, well, why don't you just take the day off, man? But, at that time, the game had changed from resting to it's 24/7. There is no time off. This is what you do. This is who you are.
Right.
Man, I go out there, man, and fracture my foot, and now I can't even walk on the thing. And unfortunately, on that level, they're not going to wait on a guy who ain't been there.
Right.
So another guy ended up, getting my spot to go out there because they had like a little 2-week mini training camp before the actual training camp starts.
Right.
And that 2-week mini training camp would give you your opportunity to keep going further and further. Now, here's the crazy thing. I didn't give up. I had another opportunity with the Chicago Bulls. I go out there, they get because the Bulls used to do like these individual workouts. They would bring you in. So I'm out there, man, working out with B.J. Armstrong, like he was the assistant GM at the time.
Yeah.
Killing it, man. I mean, killing it. B.J. was like, man, Will, you ready? So I'm thinking like, okay, this is good. Jerry Krause, however, was like, we ain't got no spots, but we can put you on our practice squad. So I'm like, okay, cool. Because in my mind, I'm like, nobody's going to get hurt. You don't want nobody to get hurt, but it happened. It happened. Because it happened to me. Like, I've always believed that sometimes, man, the next man up is you just injury away. I mean, that's
right.
Unfortunate because it happened to me. And so I go home, tell my wife the great news, tell Curtis the great news. Like, man, I can't believe this is like happening.
Right.
Man, I get home, man. Couldn't go back the next day. Got a temperature over 100 degrees. I think it was like 102, man. Just out of nowhere. Nowhere. I'm like, and then on top of that, my back goes out. So I got man, my wife can tell you, I'm laying on the couch. She got like bags and bags of ice on my back. And it was just gone. Wow. I couldn't even walk, man. I couldn't even move. And it was at that point I knew that God was transitioning me, but I didn't know how he was transitioning me. But I knew at that point that NBA dream window, that piece that I had for that moment was literally that door was closing. Now, I think I shared this with you before. I always tell people my issue was I prayed the wrong prayer.
Yep, that's what I was going to be my next question. Tell them about that.
My prayer was, I kept telling God, Lord, I just want to know if I was good enough to play. I need that, Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And God answered that. He showed me that I was good enough to play, that I belong up there.
Yeah.
But my prayer should have been, Lord, I want to play in the league.
Yeah.
That should have been my prayer.
Yeah.
And I'm always telling folks now, listen, it is true. You got to be specific in what it is that you're asking God for.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even mean that you're going to always get it. But at least you know that you walked in that truth of it. This is what I want. God, you may not give it to me,
Yeah.
but this is what I want, as opposed to trying to be gentle with it. Well, God, if you would,
Yeah.
I'm looking like God puts the if on our end, not on his end. He's looking like, is there anything too hard for me? He
Right.
didn't say if there's anything too hard for me.
Come on.
That if is on us.
Right.
So yeah, I man, but I will say this. In all of that, man, probably some of the happiest moments of my life, Kelly. I can't even tell you how it felt to when I was out there playing against Jordan, Stackhouse, even a young 16, 17-year-old LeBron James showed up one day and was out there playing. I mean, man, it was just all these great Chicago ball players and Penny Hardaway, all these guys coming down. And the fact that that brotherhood that they talked about,
Yeah.
I was a part of that again. And man, it was just, I mean, man, just amazing. I don't talk about it a whole lot in the book, but that brotherhood,
Mm-hmm.
man, it's next level, man. I mean, to be a part of that basketball community, man, it's something else.
Yeah, man, that's dope. Yeah, we don't want to give them all of the book. Couple of final things. What did it feel like when I sent you the thing you saw you hit number 2 on the Amazon bestsellers list?
First of all, man, when you sent me that, because you don't know how people are going to respond to it. I didn't know where this thing was going to go because I get a little raw in this book.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is, like I said, I don't want to give the book away, but one of the things that this book really addresses is, man, um, dealing with that mental piece. I didn't know that's what it was back then, that I was dealing and struggling with depression and anxiety. We were taught, hey, get up, put a Band-Aid on it and keep moving.
Yeah.
And so to put myself back out there again, because you got to remember, the movie puts you out there.
Yep.
The book puts you out there. But when that came back, man, I told my wife, I said, wow, the goal was accomplished.
Yeah.
And she said, you're absolutely right, because she said, your goal was you want people to get an understanding that Hoop Dreams for you was more than just basketball, that it was your life.
Yeah.
But defining that and figuring it out has taken you a lifetime
Yeah.
to get there. So,
Mm-hmm.
man, when that came back showing number 2, as a matter of fact, I checked it the other day, it's still holding kind of steady at number 5. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling people, I'm like, hey, listen, if you're a Hoop Dream fan, go get that book, because we still want to make history. We want, I mean, I want to get one of those Amazon tags that say bestseller. I want somebody out there to grab that book and say, hey, Will, man, let's get this thing to become the New York Times bestseller.
Yep.
I'm believing that. I'm believing that for God. Remember, I said, you got to be specific in the prayer. So I'm believing that, this book can sell thousands and thousands and thousands of copies. Hey, even if it's 100,000, I mean, I want it all. I put no limit on what this can be, and my prayer has not had any limitations on it. Learned that lesson the hard way.
Yes, sir. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. For the guys out there, for the former professional athletes, college athletes, and sports coaches, what was it like working with us, and would you recommend them come to us to get their book done?
First of all, let me just start here. Everybody has a story to tell. Even if you don't think you got a story to tell, You have a story to tell. Your life means something. Your life is valuable. And sometimes you may not even see the worth until you put it on paper. So put your life on paper. Now, you're gonna need some structure behind that. And if you want to get some structure behind that, people need to get connected to Books for Athletes. Here's the reality, man. Working with you guys, man, it was smooth. Everything was on time. The meetings were set up. Um, even just the correspondence. Matter of fact, I was late, slow, and dragging, and y'all kept pushing. So, but just the attention to detail,
Yeah.
and so I would recommend any athlete, whether you played even a game 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you got a story to share. You got a story to tell. And the blessing is, come get it by people, man, who's gonna love you through that process. And that's what happened, man, with Books by Athlete. I felt the love throughout the process. And I just gotta say this, man. Y'all do the dopest covers I've ever seen in my life.
No.
I mean, when I saw this, man, I was like, oh my goodness, you got the neighborhood behind it. Because you take the vision out of people's minds, and because the question is like, hey, how do you see your book cover? And all I said was, man, I said, like when you in the gym or on the court and you see the banners, I said, I want them banners, but I said, my banners got to represent my family, got to represent my life, and man, and y'all put it there. And then I was like, but also, man, I wanted to represent the neighborhood. So you took it and you smoothed it. And I'm just like, man, listen again, if you guys want it done right, connect with Books for Athletes.
Appreciate it, bro. Two things. First, what's your favorite scripture? Second thing, what is the best advice you've ever received and from who? Give me those two
All
things.
right. Let me start with the latter first. The best advice I've ever seen actually came from my college coach. I remember when I first walked up on campus, school was starting. We were all walking through the courtyard, and he saw me and he called me over and he said, hey, Will, I want to tell you, man, it was such a privilege recruiting you here to Marquette University. Then that joker looked at me and said, but now that you're here, it is your responsibility to stay here. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, you are so right. He was letting me know that from that moment, that I needed to come with it every day on every level, whether I'm in the classroom, basketball court, out in the public, that there was going to be a demand put on my life. And I appreciated that, because sometimes you don't know your own personal capacity until people put a demand on you. Yeah. And once you find out, man, that you can be stretched, you can be pulled, man, you can do some great things. And of course, my favorite scripture, man, is John 15:5. Apart from God, you can do nothing.
Man, you can't end it no better than that, man. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you doing this. Man, this is the first of many things to come we're going to do together, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
Last thing, though, where can people get the book, of course, on Amazon? Tell them about the clothing line. Tell them about your websites, how they can book you to speak, and all of that.
So you can get the book, like you said, on Amazon.com. Just put in Hoop Dreams Fifth Quarter. It's going to take you right there. But also, what I'm doing on my website, which is hd-22.com, hd-22.com. I'll say it one more time, hd-22.com. I actually have it set up that you can go in there and get an autographed copy of the book. That's the only place that you can get an autographed copy. And if you also want to book me personally to come out for speaking engagement and things of that nature, on the website, you will find my email address, which is hoop22dreams@gmail.com. And that will connect you personally to me to come out for speaking engagements and any other events as well. But again, that is hd-22.com. Listen, we want this book to blow up.
Sure.
Keep it going. Keep buying it. Share it with your friends. listen, we get into the Christmas season. Basketball season is just now starting.
Yep.
This is a great read for all, even the way that I dedicated the book, man. This is for the AAU coaches. This is for the grade school coaches. This is for the high school coaches.
Yeah.
This is just for the couch coaches. This is for all those, man, who love to see people excel in life.
That's dope, man. Did you get your first book signing plan yet?
I have not got my first book signing yet. I need to get that. Working on some things right now. Yeah, you gotta remember too, Kev, this has been a minute since I've been out here doing this stuff. So just it's funny. I'm formulating a team right now to get all these things together, man. It's been a minute since Will Gates been back out here like this. So I had to dust off some old thinking caps and shake some dust from this corner and from that corner. But hopefully by the by the beginning of November, we'll be rocking and rolling.
Dope, man. Appreciate you so much, bro. Let me know if you need anything. I'm always here, bro. You have an amazing day.
Appreciate you too, man. Bless you, man.
All right, bless you.
All right.
Peace. Thank you so much for checking out this episode of the Books for Athletes podcast. Make sure you're liking, subscribing, and leaving us reviews. And be sure, if you're interested and you want to get your book done, make sure you check out our free case study video at www.booksforathletes.com. Also, if you'd like for me to come to speak to your students or you're having an event and you need a speaker, I would love to be a part of it. Just shoot me an email at booksforathletes.com. Until then, we'll see you on the next episode.